Guys, welcome back to the channel. Guns, Ammo, and Drones here. As you can see here, I've got 6 Smith & Wesson 3rd Gen pistols here. And, this is 2020. We're just getting over the COVID, and the era of the budget pistol has really taken off over the last few years. And I think a lot of people forget to realize that even though these guns here are not in production anymore, they're still fairly readily available and at a really good price. I will make the exception for this one here. This is actually a 1989 Smith & Wesson model 4506. So this is the 45 caliber. These guys here are more expensive right now. They're probably between $500 and $700 depending on where you get it. You can still find them on Gunbroker or probably a few other websites, but these are just fantastic weapons. Smith & Wesson has a long history of producing really quality firearms since the 1850s. And when these models came out in the late 80s, it basically just revolutionized the law enforcement and civilian market. Police departments all over the country carried these. Certainly before Glock came into the picture and started taking over the law enforcement and military market at that point. But the 4506 is just a fantastic gun. It's based obviously off of the 1911. Now, of course, there's a lot of differences. This is not a 1911. 1911 does not have the safety on the slide or the decocker. And the way you take this down is you pull this back a little ways and you pop this pin out. It doesn't have the bushing up front, so it tears down different. But as far as the dimensions and the overall appearance, it's a 1911 style. You can still find these. It's a great pistol. It's a really nice shooter. Of course, you're only looking at 7 or 8 rounds depending on the magazine, but it is 45, and with it being such an iconic weapon, if you're a collector or if you just like cool guns in general, this one here will certainly qualify, and you should probably have one of these in your collection. The next one we're going to go to, we'll start with the highest caliber and work our way down. This one's the 40 caliber. Now, this is based off of the 4006 Smith & Wesson, obviously, but this one here is the 4006 TSW, which is the tactical Smith & Wesson. Now, this particular gun here served in the California Highway Patrol for quite a number of years. These were discounted or discontinued, I believe, in 2009. You can still get them. They're all over the internet. You just got to find a good one because these are service weapons. They were used, and as you can see, there's some marks and little indications that they have a lot of holster wear on them. Now, the gun doesn't have any magazines in them or anything like that, and all these guns are clear, by the way. One of the things that makes this a little bit different than the 4006, which is for the civilian market, is that the safety decocker on this particular model is only a decocker. So basically, when you pull the slide back and your hammer is cocked, it automatically goes back up into non-safe mode. So there's no safety on this as far as the slide here. And you also notice that it has a integrated rail. So this gun here is actually quite a bit heavier than the original 4006. The original 4006 did not have this rail. Matter of fact, we'll get to this gun here in a minute, but the 4006 basically looked just like this. This is the 5906 9mm. We'll talk about that one in a minute. But if you guys are into 40 calibers, parts are readily available for these. And it's funny because once you take down one of these, you know how to take down them all because they take down the exact same way. And a lot of the parts are interchangeable, between the 9mm and things like that. These grip panels here are made of Delrin, which is like a plastic, and you can get new ones of these. Matter of fact, I think this might have been a new one. When I bought the gun, this one here had a lot of wear marks and things like that from being held and shot and whatnot. So I replaced these, and I also replaced these ones here. I probably even replaced a couple of the other ones. I just want to have it fairly new looking. Anyway, this one here does have the CHP designation here, and this model here was certainly used. And you can see here now these marks here, E3114. That's the model number, and you don't find these numbers on civilian pistols like these other ones here. They don't have these. Since this was a law enforcement model, these are going to be a little bit different in that regard. But these things are tanks, and very accurate, very fun to shoot. With this thing being all steel, all stainless steel, it's pretty heavy. So it absorbs a lot of the 40 caliber pep of that round. Same with the 45. It's a pleasure to shoot. Now we're going to jump over into these ones here. We're getting down into the rest of these guns with the 9mm. Iconic weapon. I mean, this gun has been in so many movies, as well as the 4506. I believe it was in Training Day. Denzel Washington carried that one. And these guns here, this is the 5906, the 9mm. It has also been in a lot of movies. Boondock Saints, just to name one. There's so many others. I watch movies all the time, and I still see these guns. Very, very, very nice gun. Very similar to the 40 caliber, like I said, just in the 9mm. Now this one here does have the safety. It does not have the automatic return like this one does. So this one here does have a decocker, and it has a safety. Okay, there you go. And the action on these are really, really nice. These pistols are just in great shape, considering the use of these. Most of these are 89 to 91 models, with the exception of this 40 caliber. And you can still find these. The 5906, you can get them pretty much all day long for probably $300, $330. Just check around online. These guns are really nice. They're quite a bit thicker than a lot of your new polymer, but not by much. Double stack magazine here. Let me find out which one. Yep, here's the double stack here. Now, these originally came with 15 round. I ended up buying a couple of these Mec-Gar magazines, and they hold 17. So you can get 17 rounds into these guns now, and they're just absolutely amazing. So fun to shoot. If you have not shot an all steel gun before, you need to at least shoot them. They're fantastic. Now this one here is actually almost identical to this one I just showed you, the 5906. So this one's the 5903, and the biggest difference on this one here, it actually uses the same slide, but you can see that the frame is different. This is actually an alloy, so it's basically aluminum. So it's got a much lighter aluminum frame as opposed to the all stainless steel. So these guns here were also used quite a bit extensively in law enforcement for backup guns and even their main gun, just because of how light it was. Keep in mind, guys, this was before the polymer craze, that Glock started. And I don't want to say it was before that, because Glock came in the 80s, but people were still carrying these. Matter of fact, the 45 caliber was one of my very first carry guns, and it was a fantastic gun then, before everybody started going to the Glocks. Now this one here certainly does weigh more than a Glock, but it's not that bad. This aluminum frame is really nice, very rigid, really strong, and basically the same dimensions as far as the stainless steel version. Fantastic gun. You can still find these all over the place and at a really good deal. Now these two guns here, very similar. This one here is actually just a smaller version. It's also 9mm. This is the 6906. So this is just the little brother to the 5903 here. And this one here, as you can see, does have the aluminum frame also. About the same thicknesses as its bigger brother here. Just in a shorter gun, and you're still looking at 11 rounds. I think it's 11. Nope, you get 12. So you got 12 rounds plus one in the chamber in these guns here, and these are considered carry guns. I mean, I'd have no problem carrying these now because this is really not that much bigger, actually, if at all, than let's say the Glock 26. And as you can see, these are all hammer fired guns, but as you can see, the hammer's bobbed on this. All right, so it doesn't snag, so it makes a really good carry gun. If you're used to carrying a gun that has a wider double stack profile, like the Glocks and many other, you know, compact guns, you could easily carry one of these. Keep one in the chamber, and since this is a decocker, you can carry this safe, because once you've got one in the chamber, you got a full mag, you just decock it and you're ready to go. And then it goes from that point, it goes to double action. So these are all double action, single action. If you don't know what that means, since they are hammer fired, that first initial shot will be a long double action pull, okay? But at that point, when you fired off that first round, the hammer stays back and it goes into single action mode, okay? And now this has a empty chamber, magazine disconnect, and all that. So when you take out the magazine, and these are all the same way, it won't fire unless there's a magazine in there, okay? This is the 6906. These are also readily available. Do a little digging, because since these were used guns and you have to get a used gun, see if you can find one that has a good picture with it, and it shows you all the markings and things on them. Now, most of these do clean up really easy whenever you buy it, so that's the good thing. Now, this was probably the latest model that I have, next to the 4006, but this one here is actually earlier. This was made earlier than this, and you can kind of tell because of the black hammer, or I'm sorry, the black trigger, and then you also have the black bobbed hammer. When they ended up producing a lot of these guns, they used to have the stainless steel. Okay, the earlier models have the stainless steel. This actually is an earlier model, but I just put this trigger on it because it's a really nice trigger. I really like that. But these are all early models, except for this one. This one here is fairly new, certainly from the 90s. But you can see that this one here has no external safety on it like this one does. Okay, these are very similar, actually. This one here is actually a little bit longer in the barrel, as you can see. Still a great carry gun, for the fact that it does have a bobbed hammer and there's no safety, you know, to get in the way. Great gun. Let me see if I can pull out the magazine on this one here. Put this one in. You got plenty of room for your pinky, okay? And if you're used to a Glock 26 or something like that, you'd have no problem carrying these. And these right now, you can get these for $100 less than a brand new Glock 26. And the good thing about these guns, actually good thing about all these guns, is that these are just tanks. They're workhorses. You keep these things in good shape, you're going to have a fantastic pistol that you're going to be able to keep for pretty much as long as you want. Parts are still readily available for these. You can go on Brownells, you can go on eBay, you can get triggers, you can get springs, you can get just about anything to cover any one of these pistols. You can get parts for them. And the good thing is you can buy 2 or 3 at a time, because most of these will use those same parts. This is just an idea for you guys if you're getting into guns for the first time, or you're looking for something to collect, or you're looking for a really nice pistol. You can't go wrong with any of these Smith & Wessons. Now, there's also a lot more than just these ones here. There's 7 or 8 versions of the 45. There's a few of the 40s. There's the more than this in the 9s, and they actually have smaller ones. The 3913 or the 3906, they're actually single stack. I don't have one. I want one, and I'm working on it. But they make this in a single stack, which is a really good carry gun. If you like the Glock 48 or the Bersa BP9 or any of those single stack pistols, Smith & Wesson will have something for you. They're, like I said, they're a little bit harder to find. GunBroker is usually a pretty good site to find a lot of these pistols. And like I said, you can find these all day long. Just hold out for a good price, find a good price, find one that doesn't have a lot of scratches or markings and things like that. And if your grip is all beat up, don't worry about it. You can get new ones. I have all the originals still left. I bet I have seven or eight of these grips laying around. And oh, and by the way, they also make two different kinds of the grips. They actually make the straight back, and then they make the humped back, the round back. So I prefer the straight. My 45 came with the rounded. I really like the straight. It feels much nicer for me. There's just something about the straight one. But some of these I have kept the rounded ones on, just because I have something that already looks like this one, feels like it with the straight back on this version. Anyway, guys, listen, these are great pistols. I've shot these things for years. Let me see if I can get it down there in picture. I've shot these for years, and they have never let me down. Matter of fact, I'm not even sure any of these had broke, which is a great thing. So if it does, though, like I said, there's still parts. If you guys have any questions on these or on any of these other third-gen Smiths, send me a message on the channel here, and I'll respond as quickly as I can to you. Guys, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. See y'all later.